Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar on NetSuite Analytics Warehouse. We'll just give everyone a minute or so to join and then we'll get stuck into it. Thank you everyone for carving out your time today. Did you want to try your audio, Charles?
Hi. Can
Yeah,
you hear me?
all good.
Anna?
Cool. It's a bit of a dreary day here in Melbourne, so hopefully that'll
It's been a rainy day
that'll
as
get
well.
more people signed up to look at something new. It's rainy over there.
Yeah, it is. Very wet morning.
Yeah. It was lovely yesterday. We had 25, 26 degrees and then it's back to normal today. Back to dreary Melbourne. Just give it another 30 seconds. All right, let's get started. So thank you everyone. Welcome to our webinar on NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, NetSuite's new data reporting, analytics and data warehouse tool. I'm very excited. For those of us who've been in and around NetSuite for a number of years now. I've been myself about 6 or 7 now. I've been waiting for something like this. We'll touch on the different reporting options you have in NetSuite and how they've enhanced those capabilities now with Analytics Warehouse. Before we get into it, some introductions. So myself, I'm an under-eye head of customer success here at Annexa. So effectively look after all our wonderful customers across the ANZ region. You'll have a customer success manager that looks after you. So I'm available to help them, help yourselves as you grow and look at other ways to optimize your business. Happy to introduce Charles. Do you want to give yourself a little intro?
Yep. So my name is Charles Yap, and I am actually a technical lead for Annexa in terms of NetSuite Analytics Warehouse products. Prior to this, I do have experience in Oracle Analytics, which is one of the key component in NetSuite Analytics Warehouse. So I hope with this webinar, you'll be able to get some idea on what are the capabilities and the use cases that we can derive from NetSuite Analytics Warehouse. Back to you,
Great, thanks, Charles. And Charles will be going through a demo a bit later, which we're all here to see. So in terms of agenda, we'll just touch on the different reporting options you have throughout NetSuite currently and how they differentiate and why NetSuite Analytics is taking it up to that next level. We'll, of course, do an overview of the product and all the different elements that are available to you within that option, and then we'll go into the fun stuff, and Charles will show some real live examples of how this can help your business. In terms of the housekeeping, so for those of you who haven't used this platform before, in the top right, you do have a chat function. So please feel free to pop some questions in there as we go throughout the presentation, and we're happy to entertain those. So yeah, keep it as open as possible. We'll also have some time towards the end to go into it as well. So in terms of your current, so most of you on the call today already have NetSuite, so you'll be very familiar with its current reporting capabilities. So that's through saved searches and the normal reports that you can customize, add your different filters for whatever way you want to slice and dice the data. So that's been a great tool for you to get quick access to your data within NetSuite, and then obviously get that out of the system if you need to do further analytics in another platform. And that's worked really well. There's been enhancements throughout the years to enable you to get to parent-child data within the platform, and it's provided a really easy way for your teams to get that analysis and make those decisions. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, NetSuite, through feedback, were able to develop what we call Suite Analytics workbooks. Now, not a lot of people use this this option, but it is again an enhancement to the Save Search, where you can start introducing pivot tables within NetSuite. So again, stopping you from having to go into a tool like Excel, where you're losing those controls and those other security capabilities that NetSuite provides. So that's been a nice tool, and again, enhancements over the years, exposing it to other fields within the platform. Then another option you have available currently is Suite Analytics Connect. So between Save Searches and Analytics Workbook, sometimes you want to take that into a more rich reporting tool, such as a Power BI. And until NetSuite Analytics Warehouse was available, you did have to look at an external reporting tool. And with Analytics Connect, that's how you can get that data out of NetSuite via an ODBC connector. A lot of people have done this into an Excel tool, but obviously with that method, you do need to know coding, SQL, queries, and making it, not as good for an end user, hence why a more capable reporting tool was important. And that is why NetSuite have brought in NetSuite Analytics Warehouse. And now it may be a new tool to our ecosystem, but it's been in and around the Oracle world for quite some time. And Charles can go into a bit more of that later. And what they've done, similar to NetSuite Planning and Budgeting, which a lot of you would have been exposed to, have developed a tool that works really well for NetSuite customers. So that's why it's really exciting. It enables a lot more data to pass through. There's standard KPIs available, standard data connections already to get your sales, your finances, purchasing across into that tool, ready to go. It's different from a user point of view as well. So again, people have in the past have had feedback that you don't always have a full access license to get to the data you need. So again, through NSAW, which is the nickname for NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, NSAW allows you to give access to people within the business that need to make those key decisions. Charles, did you want to just give a bit more of a overview of the real key factors and why NetSuite Analytics Warehouse is a great tool for our customers?
Right. So majority of the time when we get feedback from NetSuite customers, they are trying to consolidate data from multiple sources, apart from just using NetSuite data. And the question that often comes up is, how can we join our data, which is outside of NetSuite, right? And the clear answer that most of us would have been telling our customers is that we'll probably need a third-party business intelligence or analytics tool to join and blend the data, right? So one of the key capabilities is that with NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, that scenario is pretty much covered in the sense that you are able to import data from multiple sources, right? And have it housed in a centralized data warehouse. So all of your data that you need to drive your analysis will be available in that centralized warehouse, and you'll be able to join the data. You'll be able to create a more comprehensive analysis across all of your business pillars. So it provides two main important components, which is the Oracle Analytics platform and also the autonomous data warehouse capabilities, where you'll be able to house your data.
Great. It's a really good point, because a lot of our customers, whilst they'll have an integration to NetSuite, you're not bringing everything across. You're potentially just bringing it in to move the process along to the next transaction. Whereas with Analytics Warehouse, we can now bring in more rich data into one platform, and it doesn't have to go through NetSuite. You don't have to any longer use NetSuite effectively as a data warehouse, which is what some customers have tried to do in the past. So that data can come directly into Analytics Warehouse. It's built to take a lot of data as well, and then have your key KPIs and reporting through that tool. So that's great. Thanks, Charles. And then, just driving into the different elements and parts that make up NSAW, could we just jump into those different areas?
Right. So in terms of NSAW, like what we're seeing in the slides here, there are four main challenges that we often face for NetSuite users, right? The first, as I've mentioned earlier, it's in terms of the data management side of things, where eventually you will start to realize more and more data will be needed for your day-to-day analysis, right? So you have data volume that keeps increasing with the age of use of the NetSuite platform, and also the rest of different platforms where you are extracting your data, and at the same time it's being scattered throughout the organization. So with your data, being available across your organization, it would take a huge challenge to piece the data in, right? So eventually with NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, we'll be able to centralize your data sources, and you'll be able to build for NetSuite data as well. And with the pre-built connectors available, you can easily just connect to your external systems and fetch the data that you need into the platform. And of course, with that, with your data available in the same platform, you're also able to augmentate your data. And what that really means is that it's pretty much to tailorize your data into a specific format, so it'll be useful for your reporting and analysis.
That's great. One thing, Charles, I guess I've struggled with, NetSuite collects there's a lot of data in there. It's analyzing that. What are the right questions you need to be asking to get to that decision? How does Analytics Warehouse help with that part of it?
Right. So the first key area that we usually look into is in terms of the use cases that you plan to use for your analytics platform, right? With the key use cases, we'll be then able to understand what are the data that we need, what are the kind of data that we need, and that we need to push into the centralized data sources. So it really depends on the kind of data that you need, and also the volume. Like how far back do you want your analysis to be? 5 years down back from your business, or maybe 10 years, right? Because in terms of the data wise, it would be a large difference, and will require more time to extract those data out from your different data sources. So that will be the main key areas that we look into in order to establish how we want to manage our data.
Great. And that machine learning aspect of it, that's really jumping out at me on the page there. Just explain that.
Right. So machine learning pretty much is in a sense where NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, you'll be able to bring in your external data, right? And with just a few clicks, you'll be able to let NetSuite Analytics Warehouse analyze your data and come back with a report in terms of what are the basic facts of your data, what are the factors that is affecting a certain dimensions, or maybe certain factors that you have selected based out of the columns that is available in your data set. So it is able to scan through your data and give you a quick summary in terms of what's available in your data, how you can make use of your data for your analysis. So it's pretty much like a quick start approach where you could understand what is available in your data and the ideas that you could analyze out of that.
Yeah, great. So start suggesting reports before you even start customizing them yourself. And then finally, I think when I hear integration, that can sometimes scare me a little, and it sounds like a lot of work. But I can see there is a drag and drop function. So just explain that for me, and I think you'll demo that later as well.
Yeah, so back in the days when we talk about integration, it will be a huge topic because you're talking about merging data from multiple sources, and usually it will take IT a long time just to get those ready because it involves complex systems, to stage your data, to find the right column to, join them in order to get the right joinage and
Yeah.
analysis. But in terms of NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, because it is pre-built out of the box, most of the data models, you have all the joins ready out of the box, meaning you do not need to configure by yourself, right? Just to understand how the data structure works and so
Yeah.
forth. But you're able to leverage and make use of the data right out once it's being provisioned.
Yeah, it's great. And it's that time to transform the data. It almost isn't worth it by the time you get your end result. That's
Yeah.
great. It takes that all out of it. And just before we jump into demo mode, I know there'll be a lot of guys on the phone who are looking at other tools that are out there in the marketplace that have been there and well established for a while. Maybe if we can touch on, let's start with integration. Where are we a bit different to the others in terms of NSAW's capabilities in that integration space and getting that data across?
Right. So from day one, once you provision your NetSuite Analytics Warehouse platform, the first thing you'll notice is that you would have all the pre-built dashboards and pre-built data models ready in day one.
Great.
So again, yeah, it's like literally the moment you provision the instance, you're able to make use of your data right away. You don't have to spend time configuring your data models, establishing that these are the right joinage from the different tables, because in NetSuite alone, you have a large amount of tables, and all of this joinage would take time in order to verify before you could productionize it, right? And start using that for analysis. So in day one, compared to different platforms like Click, Power BI, and Tableau, you have all your data models ready, and it's just a matter of drag and drop in order to start piecing out the reporting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And then what areas are covered? Is that finance, sales, purchasing? They're all out of the box?
Yep. So the major areas like finance, purchasing, sales, bank details, the main features that most of our customers use, they are available out of the box,
Yep.
right? And of course, eventually, NetSuite will be expanding to the niche components, for example, revenue assurance or revenue management point of things. You do have the basic tables, but they will be
Yep.
expanding and improving the data model as we go on.
Projects,
Yeah.
etc. Yeah, that's great. And what about the security side of it?
Right. In terms of security side, it is essentially this NetSuite Analytics warehouse, right? It is a platform which is powered by Oracle
Mm-hmm.
Cloud Infrastructure, right? So Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is actually a very secure cloud provider where it builds in all the standard security features available in any major cloud providers like Azure, AWS, or Google
Yep.
Cloud. So you would get the same level of security as per the big cloud
Yeah, great.
players.
No, it's really important. There's a lot of data. You want that to be as secure as NetSuite is. And then I think finally, NetSuite has been pushing towards industry standards. So in terms of the pre-configured reports, is that what you're getting? You're getting industry-specific examples that we can leverage to start with?
Yep, you'll be getting the industry specific KPIs, the things that you usually look
Yep.
into, that you measure for your business. All of those formulas are out of the box, available from day
Great.
one. And eventually, if there are more that you need to configure to customize according to your business needs, you're able to build a calculator field to supplement with that. That's right.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay, I think that's a really good summary. So should we just jump into a couple examples and then show them the real product?
Yeah, definitely. So what you're seeing right here is one of the capabilities of NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, where you can actually build and put in a map here, and sort of pinpoint a particular area where you would see the traffic. So in this example, for one of the companies, what they did was they are a airline management company where they manage all the different airlines available in that particular airport. So they would want to understand what is the intensity in terms of the traffic foot or the number of passengers that are, going through different airline companies. So different gates will be assigned to different airline companies. And as you can see right here, the darker the color it is for a specific gate, it indicates more flights are occurring for that particular gate. And that also translates to how busy that particular gate is. That would sort of allow the management to understand if it is too busy in terms of the particular gate. Probably they might want to extend it to different gates as well to facilitate in terms of the number of passengers, to elevate the whole flow, to ensure that the airport would run smoothly, and to ensure most of the operations would run as intended. So depending on different airlines, you're able to understand what is uh, the areas that's being occupied and how they could facilitate to ensure everything runs smoothly at the end of the day.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So it's a bit of a different use case, but yeah, with the data, you can analyze it quite graphically as well. Brilliant. So let's jump in. You want to share your screen and show us the magic?
Yep. All right. Can you see my screen, Anna?
Not yet. There we go. Yep. Perfect.
Okay, cool. So what you're seeing right here is the main page of the NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, which is powered by Oracle Analytics, right? And typically what users would look into is to import their data in, right? Especially if you have external data that you want to do analysis. And you can click on the create button here, and there are a few different options where you can create. So the first thing is we definitely look into creating a connection. So by creating a connection, you'll be listed out a number of different connections here. And what happens is that you will be given a number of different connections, right? But at the same time, in this demo purposes, we are going to make use of a specific data set. So I'm going to bring in some data set that we can make use for analysis, right? So in terms of that, you can see it's starting to load. I guess I'm pretty much logged out of that. Apologies for that. Let me just log back into the system and we can get going. All right. So just to show back the initial connection area. So once you click on create connection, you're given a number of different connection types that you could leverage to bring in your data, right? So it could be ranging from Oracle applications, Amazon Redshift, Amazon related data sets, Google Analytics, IBM databases, MongoDB, Salesforce, and so on, right? So these will be useful if you want to bring in external data sets from different applications or databases. But in this demo that we're doing right here, I'm gonna stick to the basics where most of our users, they typically bring in data sets from spreadsheets. So as you can see right here, we can really drop in a data file, typically in Excel format or CSV, right? So once I drop in the data set, I can see right away, these are some of the columns available in the data set, right? And if I click OK, it would then come to a screen where you could sort of adjust your data, massage your data so that it's conformed to how you would like to make use of that. So in this data, you'll be giving some recommendations where you could make use of that if you need to. For example, if I were to click into month, it would give me options to extract certain information out of the column. So I'm going to click on extracting the year, and it would create a new column right away with the year information populated into that column, right? Um, Typically, this is one of the ways where you could use that. Or if you want to build a new column out of all these existing columns, you can do so by clicking on Create. And right here we have, a new column here where you can set uh, a specific name to that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sum the expense amount with probably previous year amount as well, right? So what I can do is making use of certain functions that's listed here, and also typing in the column of, you know, of the previous column, right? So once I click on that and set a name, I'll validate that. And if everything goes well, I can add this step. And right away, you would see that a new column has been created and the values has actually been summed in, right? So pretty much 30K plus 27-ish K, you get around 58K. Pretty much tally with all of the calculation that you have expected, right? So once we do sort of, you know, have all these being set up, we can actually name a data set here. So for demo purposes, I'm gonna set a name here. And I am going to save this data set because we are going to do a more thorough analysis in this data set itself, right? So as you can see, once the data set has been saved, you will see a create workbook. This is where you create your analysis, right? So let's jump right in, right? Once you join into a workbook, you see a blank canvas, right? So the tabs here are being called are being referred to as canvas, right? And you'll see at the top right there is one button called Auto Insights. Once I click into that, it will start scanning through your data, and it will then, sort of give me an understanding what kind of data is available for me to make use, right? We'll start generating all the insights that it deemed to be useful for your analysis. So it's just a matter of, tapping the plus button to add them into your canvas to do the analysis that you need, right? If you feel that these are the charts or visual that might be useful for my analysis, I can just continuously add them. As you scroll down, it would continuously generate more insights, right? But also another way that we can leverage on the machine learning feature is by using the explain feature, right? So what I can do instead of using the auto insights feature is to get into all of these columns here, select one of them, right click and click on explain plus center, right? So now you can actually make use of the data and see that it has explained cost center for me and give me a basic facts of the data that's available in this data set, right? So from here, I feel that probably this visual might be useful for my analysis. So I am going to select that. And as I scroll down, I would see additional information. So I'm going to select a few here just to make use for my analysis. And if I move on to the next tab, key drivers, it would allow and show me some of the key drivers that's affecting cost center, right? I'm gonna select that as well and add that into the canvas. So on the get-go, all the visuals that has been selected will appear here. So now it gives me an opportunity to, adjust the position of these visuals, right? It's just a matter of dragging the charts in order to make use of how I want to report my analysis. So as I drag and rearrange the charts, you can see right here, I'm going to select back to this pie chart here. And what I'm going to do now is to switch the measures, right? Right now it is using row count. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it to expense amount because that is more useful analysis for my expenses since this data set is revolving around expenses. And what I can see right here now is starting to make much more sense where in terms of the expenses for the year, we have up to $7 million, right? And 58% of that is coming from the marketing cost center, right? And majority of the remaining would come from sales, right? Again, in this particular chart, what I can do right now is I feel that I'm not going to make use of the percentage chart. So I can easily change to different charts by selecting the rightful chart that I feel will be useful for my analysis. Right, in this case, I'll be using the horizontal stack bar charts. And again, I'm going to switch and change it to row count, right? So now I can see very clearly what is the expenses by cost center, but also I'm just going to sort them out to, uh, you know, to adjust it so that I can analyze it much easier. So as you can see right here, now all has been sorted out. I can clearly see in terms of the subcategory of airfares is among the highest, right? But also it'd be useful that I sort of look into the expense amount by date as well, right? Or maybe by month. So what I'm going to do is instead of using separate expense amount and previous year's expense amount, I'm going to join both of these into one chart, right? So I'm going to just drag and drop into the x-axis and I'm going to change it into the typical bar charts. And to ensure that I have the date coming in, I am going to replace the cost center with month. So now I can remove this chart. And you can see right away for the past few, for this year alone, um, you know, my boss has been nagging at me in terms of the expenses. We've been using too much recently, and now I finally see why, especially in September, where if I were to compare between previous year and and the current year expense amount, I would immediately see in September it is among the highest, where up to 1 million, close to, no, slightly above $1 million is being spent in September, right? So now I'm really curious to see what is causing the spike of these expenses, right? So I'm going to click here and use this chart as a filter. So it gets interesting because now you're able to interact with your chart, right? Just to drill down and get more information in. So I'm going to click on September alone, especially this spike here. And right away, instead of the typical marketing that we anticipate, it is the sales cost center that is contributing to this spike, right? And you can see right away the majority of it is coming from the taxis, where most of our sales guys, having to go to customer site, they have been making use of the taxis and ordered a lot of taxis to incur such high costs for this particular month. So it really worries me, and but also um, it starts to pinpoint to us in terms of how we could reduce the expenses of taxi. Probably have a specific or a preferred rate with e-hailing providers to reduce down on the taxi expenses, and that would help to elevate the expenses for this particular month and reduce them for the subsequent years. So that is one analysis that we can take in from. But at the same time, the next machine learning capabilities is to duplicate this chart. And instead of looking at the chart, I'm gonna, convert them into natural language, right? So what it means is that it would start describing the chart for you instead of you having to describe themselves and type them in. By leveraging on machine learning and natural human language processing, it is able to, understand this chart and also generate, the description of this chart right out here so that, you could speed up your reporting and probably pick what you need that will be useful for your reporting to the management. But of course, at the same time, the machine learning capabilities does not stop there. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to copy this same chart here, and I'm going to create and paste it into the next canvas, right? And what I'm going to do next is let's focus for the expense amount for this particular recent year, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick forecast, right? With machine learning, it would be able to scan through your historical data and right away give me a quick forecast for probably the next 3 months. So right away, for the next 3 months, by using specific models, you'll be able to tell me, um, right, what is the forecast for the next 3 months, especially in the next year, right? So what it does is it would make use of some algorithm just to calculate your historical data and sort of forecast and give you some figures for the next few months, depending on how long the period is that you have selected, right? It would then do the quick forecast. So this will come in handy if, let's say, you want to make use of your historical data just to understand in previous years, based on the typical trend, the typical season, it's able to sort of make a quick calculation and understand what would be your typical expenses or maybe your typical sales if you're using a sales data point, right? So these are some of the capabilities that we can make use of, right, in terms of leveraging on NetSuite Analytics Warehouse for external data sets. But now you'll be wondering, since we've been talking about external data sets, now you'll be wondering, what about NetSuite data? How does that work, right? So, for example, if I were to blend data from NetSuite, it's as easy as clicking this plus button here and click on Add Data, right? So when I click on Add Data, it would show me all of the data sets that's available for me to use. So you can see right here, I have some data that's coming from external databases, Excel spreadsheet, but also the other area that you're going to see is actually NetSuite data, right? So if I were to change into subject areas, these are pretty much the NetSuite data that we are talking about, available out of the box from day one, where most of the data models has been constructed, ready to go for you to consume, right? So for example, if I were to add um, to join data from sales order, I can add that into the workbook and specify the specific join points for that. So as you can see right here, once I add the data set, I have two different data sets right now, right? One is for the original demo data set that I have imported in, and the next is pretty much the NetSuite data sets. And every single NetSuite data set is being categorized based on the familiarity of the category of the data. For example, it could be the department, the classification, what is the inventory location, the accounts, payment, and so forth. But in this case, it is pertaining to anything related to a sales order, right? So if we examine in detail how this is being joined, I would click into data, right? And you can see right now it automatically sort of joined the data for me based on some machine learning capabilities. So it will try to scan the same column names in order to make the join to happen, right? But also you are given the choice to adjust how you would like to join your data from the different NetSuite data sets as well. So you're welcome to, go into different uh, data columns to join that and to get your data going, right? So that's how you really can make use of your external uh, uh, data with your NetSuite data in order to join the data and to provide a more comprehensive analysis for your own internal reporting. But at the same time, we'll head on to the next page. Let me just duplicate the tab just to show you uh, the other out-of-the-box features, right? So in this case, what I'm going to do is to head back to the original page, go to catalog, and what you're seeing right here is that this is my folders catalog, where it is just visible to you, probably in progress reports as well. But you do have the shared folders, which is shared across the whole platform. So right now I can see here we have the NetSuite folder. These will be all of the pre-built reports available from day one once you have provisioned NetSuite Analytics Warehouse and make use of that. So if I go to financials, you can see some of the typical payables, receivables, and maybe a summary dashboard of your financial perspective, right? The reports has been created out. So it's just a matter of making use of the reports or make use of this as a reference reporting, because eventually we do acknowledge that most of the reporting that we created will be the basic reporting that most users will use, but we do know users typically have a customized reporting to analyze different use cases. So you can make use of this initial reporting, save it as a new report, and enhance that reporting to improve your reporting perspective. So what you can see right here are the typical reporting that's available. And as you add your data sets in NetSuite, you'll notice one thing, right? You don't have to do any joinage because at the back end of this platform, all the joinage has been taken care of. And what that means is that you don't have to, create and construct your data model, do and investigate and just to join all these uh, data sets, verify them before you can make use of your data. Because for NetSuite, they all pretty much have figured out most of the joinage, automatically made that available to you, so you could just add in your data and start drag and drop to build the reports that you need. So it pretty much saves up a lot of time because not just that, what really happens is that all these data models is being maintained by NetSuite. So you don't have to worry about maintaining your data model as well. Because every time there's a new upgrade in NetSuite, at some point you'll be expecting the data models might change, there might be new tables coming in, and the worry will be that I would have to spend time just to maintain the data models to be accurate. In this case, NetSuite will take care and maintain the data models, and you would have a peace of mind in terms of future proving in future editions of NetSuite, and all this data will be having available for you to use as new data models or new tables being added in NetSuite itself. So with that, it pretty much cover off in terms of the preview materials of the NetSuite, but also in this capability as well. One last area that I'd like to show is the data transform area, right? Where you're able to uh, adjust your data as you see fit. If let's say you have a more complex data that you need to adjust, you can do so as well. So this feature is called data flow, where you can come in, you can bring in your data, and you can, start adjusting your data as you see fit. So in this case, what this particular data flow is doing is that I have a bunch of employee data, right, with feedbacks, and I can make use of machine learning to understand all of these wordings. And you can see right away, I added in a analyze sentiment step. What it does is it will scan through and let me know if this particular feedback is positive or negative or neutral, and eventually it'll be useful for your analysis and so forth. And once that is done, you can pretty much save back into the platform as a flat file or maybe into your database, right? Depending on your preference, you can do so and have that being established in. But also, what I want to show you as well is how you could actually transform your data, either by adding more columns, by adding a new aggregation into that to improve your calculations. Pretty much anything that you can think of in the typical transformation of your data in typical BI tools, you can do that here as well. Joining multiple data sets, union them or filter them, aggregating them, that is all possible in this little handy data flow feature. So as you can see, most of the capabilities that a user needs is being covered in NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, where you can join your data sets, you can, uh, sort of transform your data sets into a specific way so that it'll be useful for your analysis, especially for a specific use case. So with that, I'm going to hand back this session to Ananda
That's great, Charles.
because we've pretty much come back to the end of that.
Yep, no, it's perfect. Just before we wrap up, and a couple of questions. So
Yep.
in terms of the reporting, is there a tool where you can type in the data you want to get back? So, for example, airfare expenses from 2020, and it'll feed back what that number is, or a chart. Is there some sort of query tool for it to feed back data, or in a report form? Is that available?
Right. So in terms of feeding back the data, that is something that we'll have to find out from NetSuite itself. But also at the same time, in terms of the data level, if let's say you have data coming from databases, you can actually set in a specific SQL query in order to bring that data in and then feed back into the data flow for transformation as a loop. So once that is being established, it's just a matter of scheduling the data flow so that the data would just keep refreshing and coming in as new data comes in.
Okay.
Does that answer the
Yeah,
question?
it's just, I guess from a, it's more an end user tool where you can just say, what did we spend on airfares last year? And it'll come back with a number. That kind of query tool for the data.
Right, pretty much like ChatGPT, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. Is there any?
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, that is a very exciting question because in a recent seminar that we had with Oracle Analytics, that feature is actually built, ready, available. It's actually in beta
Yeah.
testing. So I can imagine that this feature will eventually trickle down to NetSuite Analytics Warehouse as
Yeah.
well, and will be available in the future. That's
Yeah, it's
right.
great. We got Sweet World next week, so hopefully that's one of the key features. That'd be great. In terms of getting up and running, so you've obviously got the standard implementation to get what's out of the box versus bringing in custom or third-party applications. What does that standard install look like? How long does that take?
Well, so the typical install look like is first we have to establish what sort of pillars or functional areas that you'll be using in NetSuite. So, for example, if you're a manufacturing company, you'll probably be leveraging on procurement or a sales order or purchase order. And depending on what pillars that we need, we'll have to enable, right? And also once it's being enabled, we have to do a first large batch of data loading. So what it does is you have to select how far back of the data that you want to make use from NetSuite to be pushed into NetSuite Analytics Warehouse. And that would facilitate and bring in all the data that you
Mm-hmm.
need. And once that is established, the next step is to understand what are the external data sources that you might need for your analysis that we have to cover as well and establish the connection. So once that connection has been established, um, the next step is to understand which table or different data sets that you're needing them for your analysis. So it's pretty much a simple three-step where you enable the pillars, have that data fetch in, identify external data sets, and identifying the tables that is required to be pushed into NetSuite Analytics Warehouse as well.
Yeah, great. And then, yeah, I guess that initial standard using the integrations that's out of the box, you're looking at about 5 to 10 days to get that up and running. So you can at least see the standard KPIs and reports coming through. Great.
Yeah, pretty much between that.
Yeah,
That's right.
perfect. So yeah, pretty quick to see that value. I've got another one come through from Nishant. I'm just reading it through. So yeah, just talking about, is NSAW separate to NetSuite, or is it within NetSuite? So yeah, it is a separate tool. So it has got its own login, but obviously the data comes through by you switching on those standard connectors and adding your custom third-party applications as well. Can I just... And then he's asking, can we add the report components on individual records, such as a customer record? So I guess he's asking there, can you then draw in what you've built in NSAW onto a NetSuite record? So the answer is no at the moment. That would sit on its own dashboard and own tool. Please respond if you need more to that answer. And then I can answer the last one. It's really in terms of engagement. So please, the demo you just saw, we can do one with you personally and take you through what it looks like for your business. So you just need to reach out. We'll have contact details sent out at the end of this webinar. Just reach out to your account manager or myself, and we'll get that set up and get Charles analyzing your own personal data. And there's a question around licenses, Israq. So I'll speak to you on that. But effectively, in terms of license for NSAW, it is a separate licensed module for the application and then users as well. It does come with a set of users, and then just depending on how many you need, you can buy additional user licenses. So we can go into that in detail when we do a personal session. So thank you, Charles. That was excellent. Really enjoyed going through the product, exciting stuff. And as you say, plenty happening down the line to improve the product as we get feedback and more people start using the platform. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to listen today, and please reach out so we can set up a session with yourself individually. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.